Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to Light Shine Desserts, where you can get your daily dose of baking, the Word of God, decorating, and much, much more. So today I'm going to be doing my first ever vendor or my first ever actual advertising of my business and not just like me having orders. So my church basically has this fair that we started last year where basically if you have your own business, you can advertise that in a way. And I actually had a tent and a table where I was going to be selling my desserts. And this is my first one, so coming into it, I didn't really know how I was supposed to do it, what to expect, but I will say later on in the video stuff that I could have done different and better. So I was going to make one of every single thing on my business just because I wanted to still show all the different types of desserts that I had, because if you maybe didn't make cake pops, they wouldn't know that you made cake pops and they would only see the stuff that was on the table. And it's just nice to know you have this variety. I didn't make every single flavor, but I did make a couple different flavors of everything. So this went on for a little bit. I started basically on the Friday, and then Saturday, and then Sunday was the day of the fair. Currently, we are starting off with the cake pops because that's something that you can make in advance. So I was going to have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. I wrote a whole schedule of everything just to make sure I got everything that I wanted to do done, and then also around the time that I wanted it done so I wouldn't be rushing at the end. And the cake pops, I think they generally tasted pretty good. My cake pops, I kind of have a hard time sometimes working with it because I don't know if I'm adding too much frosting or not enough, because sometimes it can be really oily or just get too mushy because of how much frosting I have to add in because it doesn't form the ball well. So I will have to check in on that later on. But all these clips you're watching was me switching in between different cookie doughs because I didn't just make one thing and finish it off. I kind of split in between if I was able to. So I was going to have a lot of different cookie flavors. With my chocolate chip cookie base dough, I could make chocolate chip cookies and then my s'mores, so I had 2 in 1. And then for my chocolate cookie, I could do a double chocolate chip and then also a chocolate marshmallow stuffed cookie, so another 2 in 1. Then I had my red velvet. My sugar cookie, I could also do a 2 in 1. I did just funfetti and then a white chocolate golden Oreo one, and then that was about it. All the cookies, I think they turned out pretty well. Me personally, I felt like the cookies and the bars would be something that I would want everyone to go for, just because it's not usually something that it's hard to mess up on for me unless I maybe overbake it, so then the texture isn't how I would want it to be when I'm giving it to people. Cupcakes are more of a, sometimes you might overmix it just a little bit, or the frosting could be a little bit too sweet at some point. And sometimes people like sweeter frosting, sometimes they'll not as sweet and more buttery. So that one, it's kind of a in between. It could be anybody. But with the cookies, you usually will always like it. And a lot of people like soft, chewy cookies and different types of flavors. So yeah. So I did make a lot of stuff because at first, when first starting, I didn't know, should I make a lot of stuff or should I make more of a few amount? I didn't know how much exactly would work because I didn't know what people would like, because this is my first time doing it and also my first time doing it at my church, so that not that many people have tried my desserts yet before. And so I just decided to make a lot more stuff just in case. So I generally made about 50 cookies, 28 cake pops, and just about 24 and above for all the different desserts that I had, just because I really didn't know. So the cake pops, they weren't actually really working at first. The candy melts weren't melting as it usually did. So I had to add a lot more oil than I would. And at first I thought I would have to throw away the first candy melts I was trying to melt, which was the ones for the vanilla one, because it just was staying thick. It was melting, but then it would thicken up again. And thankfully in the end it did work. As you can see, I'm dipping them. But I moved on to try doing my strawberry one. And I tried not to warm it up as much because maybe it might have been because it was overheating. And I still had to add more oil, so I don't know. I think just the batch I got, it just didn't melt as correctly. But I had to do a lot of packaging, and I at first was gonna do like some verses and have some other labels that I would put on the actual packaging, but that was just gonna be a little bit much, and also you wouldn't be able to clearly see like the desserts for some of these, so I just decided not to. So that did cut down on some time that I had for like packaging everything and like making sure everything was all ready. But the cake pops, they still did turn out good in the end. Next thing we're making is the cupcakes. I was gonna do chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry again, but I just decided to do basic vanilla and chocolate, then have all my different flavors. So I was gonna do funfetti, basic vanilla, cookies and cream, and then the chocolate base. And then with the funfetti, it would be vanilla. The cookies and cream, it would be a cookies and cream frosting. Then the vanilla with no sprinkles would have strawberry frosting. And then the chocolate would have chocolate, vanilla, and then strawberry as well. So just having a good variety and mix also helps because people like certain stuff, so you don't know which one would reach people more. And so the next thing we're going to be doing is the bars. So this is currently my cookie bars, and it's the carnival ones. I was going to do different batches of brownies and bars, like have some without any toppings, maybe have some with like caramel or my mix-ins, but I just decided to save me some more time and just add in the mix-ins because people probably will like the mix-ins because it gives it a little bit more pizzazz. So I did my typical white chocolate and sprinkles for my blondies. That's like the general thing I do. Then my carnival cookie bars has Oreos, sprinkles, golden Oreos, brownies, and I did like add white chocolate sometimes, but I didn't do it here. For my brownies, I've kind of gotten the hang of it to how I want it. I did want it to be a bit more fudgier, so for me, I add the coffee to help liquefy it because this is my blondie recipe, but I made it into a brownie recipe, so I use oil instead of butter, and I have to add some more liquid to help make it not as stiff. And so I also was going to make cinnamon rolls. One of the people at my church, he had tried my cinnamon rolls before and wanted me to make some, so I was going to do it. But the price I was going to do originally, one of the family friends that was helping me with the pricing said that I could do 2 for $5. And because I was originally only going to do 12, I thought that might not be enough. So I double batched it, and it was going to be 24 cinnamon rolls. And so I had to do a lot more prep on that. And I couldn't do my typical cream cheese frosting because that wouldn't work well in the sun. And I didn't really feel like doing the caramel, so I went with the vanilla icing. But that sadly did not sell well. Like, no one really got it. Only the person who was helping me with like the pricing, I was telling her how that people didn't really get any because maybe they couldn't see it visually unless they asked about it, because I was keeping it heated under like a heat thing, so I had to cover it to trap in that heat. But yeah, so we just have a lot at home. But yeah, it didn't really work out, so I know cinnamon rolls are not a thing to bring because I do have it on my menu for my summer one, and I was originally going to have it on my OG menu, but again, I just decided not to earlier on, and yeah, it isn't really something that people usually go for. But I think I've been recently maybe over kneading my dough, or I don't know what's happening because the texture of this isn't the same as how it was like just 2 weeks ago. Like, I did everything the same with the ingredients, but like it just seems to be having a tougher dough than it was just 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm just over kneading it, or something's happening to like my ingredients and their quality. But yeah, so now I'm frosting on the vanilla ones. I did a light blue because that's what people usually go for. Then I have my strawberry ones. I tried to do it a different design just so it's not all the same, all rosettes. And then my swirls I do always for the cookies and cream because I do add a cookie on top. Then for the chocolate ones, same thing. Anything that I have like a drizzle or I have like a topping, I'll usually do like this swirl on top. And then I also added some brownie bites just to make it more chocolatey because this was my chocolate deluxe. Sadly, the cupcakes did not actually sell that well. They were actually like the second to least ones that didn't really sell the best. It was that and the cinnamon rolls. So this is what they look like all at the end. Overall, the cake pops did the best. I had the least amount of those left. Then the bars, mostly like the blondies, and then also the cookie bars. And then the cookies, I had a good amount of people get those. Those are brownies. Those are brownies with Oreo. Like soft to chewy type of texture.
And these are the same flavor.
Yeah. Well, 9 was when I wanted to start baking, but I haven't done like the business since like last year. I fully started. So yeah.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I've only gotten one cupcake. It's the bars, the cookies, and the cake pops that have been whatever. Overall, it just could have been better. I know not to make as much stuff, but yeah, I think people still enjoyed it, and I know what to do for next time. I did make a good amount, but considering like how much I had to pay for that table and then the stuff that I had to get for it, I didn't really like earn back the money that I spent for doing all this. But yeah, it's only my first one. It was kind of just a test. But hope you guys all enjoyed. If you have any questions, tips, or things you want me to bake in the future, feel free to comment down below and have a blessed week. Bye.